Hey, what's going on? Justin here from Modern Mixing. So I got another little tutorial for you today, and this one is going to be mixing your kick and your bass using some sidechain compression, but there's a little bit of a twist to this one. So a couple weeks ago I was watching Pensado's place and he had Jaycen Joshua on, and they were talking about how Jaycen, mixes lower frequencies, and Dave was saying that he liked how his lower frequencies, between the kick and the bass, they both filled up such a nice big frequency range down on the bottom, but they didn't step on each other. So he was kind of curious as to how he was able to do that. And Jaycen said that one of his techniques was to take the bass channel and then split that up into certain frequencies. So like bass lows and bass highs or bass mids, whatever. And then he would sidechain the kick to the bass and then only pull out the bass frequencies so that the higher frequencies aren't really going anywhere, so that your ear is kind of tricked into thinking that the bass is still present or is still viable in the context of the record, but the kick is actually pulling it out so that the kick has room to breathe in that bottom end. So I thought that was kind of interesting and a unique approach to doing or to mixing your bottom end. So what I decided to do is sort of put something together where I felt like and especially in a digital sort of age, this is sort of how somebody could mimic that process. But at the same time, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible so that anybody using any DAW could do this. So you don't have to use Pro Tools. If you're using Studio One or Sonar or Cubase, whatever, it's fine. You can basically do this in any DAW. It doesn't matter. Every DAW now has the capability of sidechaining. So what I have first here set up is I have the bass, which is the original bass track, and then I split that up. So the two blue tracks here are the bass low and the bass high. And then what I did was, for the bass low, I have this REQ here, and I'm cutting out everything from 131 and above. So all you're hearing from this channel is just 131 hertz and below, all the way down to 0. For the higher bass frequencies, I have 179 set with this high pass filter, but it's a more gradual slope. And the reason why I didn't make it steeper is because when you sort of put the steep slope together with the bass, the bass low and that steep slope, the bass high and the bass low don't seem to really gel together as to one and don't really sound like the original. So I was trying to be as true to the original sound as I possibly could, so that when I split these two channels out, it wasn't sounding different. Like I was kind of avoiding a lot of phasing problems or any potential resonant bumps in the bottom end, like maybe at 100 hertz or something like that. I wanted it to sound pretty much the exact same throughout. So then what I did on the bass high after that was I added this camel crusher just to pull out some of those mids and highs, add some harmonics to it, so that way it stands out that much more. And then if you're listening to it on a pair of speakers that maybe won't replicate the lower frequencies that well, then this will sort of help stay, or at least keep the bass more present so that you can hear it. And then obviously on the lower one, I have the C1 compressor, and I have this set up pretty harshly because once the kick actually engages this compressor, I want like everything that the bass is doing to be pulled out. Well, to a certain extent, you have to set your threshold. You want it to be all pulled out, but you want to do it in a musical way. So I'm just turning it down, but I want it to be engaged immediately. So in order to do that, I had to set my ratio really, really high. So in this case, I have it 50-1, and that's like going way beyond, the average limiter ratio would be. So the next thing I did was I put a really, really fast attack. Again, basically almost 0 milliseconds. And the same concept. As soon as that kick hits, I want this bass to be pulled back basically that second, immediately. The release, I just set this up to sort of time with the release of the kick, so that way the bass is sort of wrapping itself around the kick. And again, this is all happening so fast, so the ear really shouldn't pick that up. And if I solo the kick and the low bass, you'll hear it sort of pumping, but when it's in the mix, it's sort of breathing in a very musical way. So yeah, that's about it. But what I did was I just wanted to show you the bass low and high together, what they sound like in comparison to the original bass, so that you could sort of hear that I was trying to keep the tones very original. And I just have to give a shout out to one of my followers and viewers, readers, whatever. His name's Jerry, and he tipped me off on this Shift S thing here for basically a quick solo, a quick A/B from one track to another track or whatever. So if someone points me in the right direction, I definitely like to give credit for that. So anyways, thanks for that. So let's check this out right now. So it's not exactly the same, but it's pretty damn close. And then honestly, once you sort of mix things and play with things, and then of course you add this distortion here, it's not really going to make that much of a difference anyways. But I just wanted to start from the same starting point as, you know, the bass came, and then I could sort of manipulate it from there. So next, let's listen to the bass low and the bass high, and then I'll engage the Camel Crusher. So you can definitely hear the bass coming through the mid-range a lot more now. And, you know, I probably should have said this before, but if you're listening to on, you know, speakers that can't reproduce the low end, you'd probably be doing yourself a disservice. So I would suggest either putting on some headphones that can, you know, reproduce those low lows, or, you know, getting yourself in front of a nice pair of speakers that can actually do that so that you can hear what's going on. So the first thing I'll do is I'm going to mute this bass high, because I want you to be able to hear exactly what the kick and the bass are doing together without any other distractions going on. So let's check that out now. And I'm going to turn the compressor off first, and then I'll turn it on as it's playing. Okay, so let's bring in the bass highs now, and then we'll see what's going on. I'll mute it first, and then we'll bring it in. Okay, so let's bring everything else in. And what I'll do is, you know what? Yeah, I'll just play it. So let me turn the compressor off now, and then you'll hear sort of the difference. And then while it's playing too, I'll turn it back on, and then hopefully you can hear the before and after. So yeah, so it just, you know, you should be able to hear the bass is now getting out of the way of that kick, because that kick has a lot of, you know, pop to that bottom end. So it's kind of crazy, but it just makes that kick and the rest of the drum kit just have that much more space. And without, you know, that lower frequencies being pulled out from the bass, it just doesn't sound quite the same. There's that low rumble frequency from the bass that just continues to live there, and every time that kick hits, it sort of meshes with that low end, and then sort of starts to get a little fuzzy, a little bit rumbly, and then of course it makes your speakers start to do some wonky things, so it's not quite as tight. But yeah, so that's it. It's really simple. Like I said, you can apply this in any DAW. You don't necessarily have to just use this for hip hop, but I know Jaycen does a lot of hip hop, so I wanted to show that in a context of a hip hop record. And again, you know, sidechaining, it doesn't just have to be confined to EDM style music. You can use this in hip hop. You can use this in R&B. You know, damn, you could use this in country if you want. You know, there's just no limits. It's just, we're living in a world where there's so many possibilities, and there's no one way to skin a cat. So if you want to take this concept and you want to use it on, you know, a record that you're working on, let's just say you just can't figure out that bass frequency, and let's just say it's a folk record or it's a country record. Sidechain the bass. Who cares? You know, like if it sounds better, then it is better. That's all there is to it. So hopefully I was able to help you out there, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.
Adobe Audition. This is the actual kick drum. So what I'm trying to do basically is make it look like that. So I want the attack, and I want everything after the attack turned down, and then I'll turn the whole thing back up to get back to the same volume. So this is the look that I'm trying to get.